With the recent massive success of Crimson Desert and the failures of Marathon, and most recently, just now, Bethesda's newest attempt at a game, people are once again asking the question, is Western gaming dead? And the answer seems to be pretty much yes, honestly, at this point. Every single AAA Western title is bad, low quality, completely creatively bankrupt, and most of them have a sprinkling of woke on top. While on the other hand, you have the Eastern games, the AAA and the AA games that are just absolutely blowing it out of the water. They respect your time, they respect your intelligence, and they make fun things. Proof of case in point recently Crimson Desert, and before that Black Myth Wukong and countless other examples. Well, the Western studios are still clamoring to just push propaganda and wokeness up our throats. Now, granted, at least on the Western side, the indie development scene is still producing some absolutely marvelous works like recently Slay the Spire and whatnot. But still, the situation for Western AAA gaming is at an all-time low. People have absolutely lost faith in the idea that any Western double or AAA games at this point are even going to be remotely worth their value in money. Hell, even if they're given out for free, if they're worth playing at this point.
Bethesda has been given a pass for years, from Fallout 76's broken launch and misleading collector's edition, to Starfield's mixed reception and a DLC many felt fell short, to a game engine that feels outdated, with frequent loading screens and limited design, leaving them far behind other AAA titles, to the
Starfield was a horrible game. Shattered Space doubled down on the things that were bad about the original game. And now recently, Terran Armada. Go, by the way, watch my review of that one. It's so bad I didn't even do a react, okay? It was that bad. 2 hours of gameplay for $10. It seems to be the new Bethesda standard. And nothing about that DLC is good. Nothing about anything there is good. It is one of the most insulting to your intelligence and humanity things that I have seen in my life. They not only tripled or quadrupled down, I don't even know how much doubling down Bethesda did when they made Terran Armada.
broken overpriced Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, their track record has increasingly frustrated fans. Even when criticism is raised, it's often dismissed or met with defensiveness, reinforcing the feeling that the studio has become out of touch. And yet, despite all of this, their games still dominate attention. Millions of views, constant coverage, and a player base that keeps returning to older titles show that Bethesda remains one of the most influential studios in gaming. Realistically, most studios wouldn't survive this long after so many missteps, but Bethesda has. But how is this so? Well, it comes back to a point I made in a previous video. Why is there no Skyrim 2? Not literally a sequel, but the fact that no game has truly replaced Skyrim. Some have come close, The Witcher 3 with its storytelling and side quests, Elden Ring with its exploration, and others in different ways, but none have fully replaced it. Some games have captured parts of what made Skyrim special, and a few have even surpassed it in certain areas, but none have combined everything it offered into a single modern experience, replacing it entirely. Because of that, Bethesda have been able to experiment, slow down, and rely on the fact that their core audience never truly left. Players kept waiting, not for a better alternative.
I think people have left. At this point, there is more negativity about Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 than there has ever been. The Bethesda fanboys' morale is an all-time, almost non-existent levels.
Before the next Elder Scrolls. And now, Crimson Desert changes that conversation entirely. In this video, I will explain how Crimson Desert has evolved the Skyrim formula, why it's finally put Bethesda under pressure with the next entry, and why, despite everything Crimson Desert does right, it still leaves space for the Elder Scrolls 6 to define its own identity. So without further ado, let's get into the video, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Let's break down where Skyrim succeeded and how Crimson Desert compares. So let's start with the most obvious, the open world. Skyrim's open world is still considered one of the greatest ever made, and not just because of its size, but its density and design. With over 340 locations, 180 plus dungeons, and multiple cities and towns, the world constantly rewards exploration. But the real magic is in how
Bro, even if you're not a Skyrim fan, you have to appreciate the good parts of the game. I am not a Skyrim fan by any means, and yet I still probably have $100 in Skyrim.
it guides you. The map is largely unmarked, pushing players to discover things naturally through curiosity, rather than icons and checklists. Following this game's success, tons of other studios began releasing open world games in a similar model. After such a huge increase in open world games over the past decade, players started receiving more worlds to explore than ever, but the experience never quite captured that same magic. That's where many modern games like The Witcher 3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Cyberpunk fell short, filling maps with markers that turn exploration into a checklist. These games still offered outstanding open worlds to explore in their own way, but they didn't quite manage to offer that same magic that Bethesda titles did. Their maps were filled with higher quality content than Skyrim's, but exploration felt more controlled and structured rather than organic. Constant UI interference and map
This is absolutely true, I would say.
markers made it feel like the developers were controlling where you go. Empty spaces were exactly that, left empty. And if
Though I don't think that they're controlling where you go, they just tell you, hey, here's a shop where you can buy clothes. Not really the worst thing, right?
there was anything worth seeing, the developers would just mark it for you. This is an entirely different experience, and since no game could capture that same magic, players kept returning to play Skyrim despite it being 15 years of age, dying for a game to come in and offer that same magical feeling. Crimson Desert is one of the first to do this. It takes Skyrim's philosophy and scales it up massively. The world is far larger, more varied, and just as dense, packed with hidden caves, bosses, puzzles, and secrets around every corner. Its map is roughly 4 times.
Honestly, this is a good point. I never thought of it this way. The fact that, honestly, after Crimson Desert and what it does with the open world, the secrets, the puzzles, the interactiveness, you know that Bethesda and not Fallout, well, also, honestly, Fallout. But Fallout was never really about that exploration and the secret and this and that way. It was about finding a building and entering it. But after Crimson Desert, what chances of impressing people does Elder Scrolls 6 have? Everyone knows they're not gonna have any kind of secrets or treasures or anything like that. In the same way and style of Crimson Desert, they're gonna fall short on that. Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be compared to a poor man's knockoff version of Crimson Desert at this point.
Times the size of Skyrim's and spans a far wider range of biomes. While Skyrim is largely rooted in a single Nordic-inspired region, Crimson Desert expands across multiple distinct areas: Hernan's grasslands and forests, Payloon's snowy mountains and autumn valleys, Demonis' cities and castles, Crimson Desert's deserts. It's essentially multiple Skyrim-sized regions combined into one world, but still built around discovery. There are very little map markers and players will find things organically. In fact, most of the secrets are hidden so well that people will be talking about things they find in this game for decades to come. That's how much content is in the world and how well it's hidden. And that's what makes it feel less like a copy and more like an evolution. They match that Skyrim magic, just on a larger scale, with more to find, a step up in every way. Another thing that made Skyrim stand out compared to other games was how it handled inhabited areas. Skyrim's towns were memorable because of their identity. Markarth felt historic, Solitude had class, Riften felt rustic. Every single major town in this game
Rustic Lamau
had unique architecture, a distinct feel, and citizens who looked like they genuinely lived there. They had daily routines, spoke and dressed unique to that region, and towns offered activities like shops,
They did not dress unique to that region. No, they not. Most places did absolutely not, okay? This is a dime and a dozen. You're gonna find this exact outfit on an NPC like 15 times in any city.
Taverns and faction groups. Because each town felt so unique and it was filled with named NPCs, it all felt incredibly homely. You would constantly return to these locations, spend time in their stores, and sometimes even purchase a home there. They were your safe space, an area to go and relax, stock up, and take a brief respite. Once ready, you'd leave and get back into the more hostile open world.
One of the reasons why Skyrim's cities did feel good is because I think they're realistic. I think every time a game hits some kind of realistic niche, I think it's good enough. Because every city in Skyrim fits realism in the sense that people in the real world did the same type of things. Like you look at the first just minor village that you come upon with, which is it called Rift, and I already forgot. You know, the one that one where you get the first quest. That one, that's built on a river like it would be built in the real world. It looks like a real place that people would live in, and it looks oldish. And all of the big cities, then again, have something unique about them. You know, Whiterun, the way that it's built and its layout and whatnot, its defensive structureness and whatnot, it feels real. All of this feels real and good. It feels real, unique, and good. There's no copy paste situation like you had in New World where every location was just copy pasted and rotated a bit.
World. Having both of these two experiences, the safe, cozy towns and the hostile yet fascinating open world, was a great balance. It created a great gameplay loop. This is something many modern games struggle to match. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, towns would reuse assets and all kind of look similar. Often you would arrive to a town, complete one or two side quests that were focused there, move on, and never return. As a result, towns often felt less like real places you'd spend time in and more like quick pit stops. Many other open world games have this same issue, and
Yeah, a lot of towns don't seem unique. For example, this what you're looking at right here, this is Avowed. This is intended to look unique, but nothing about this is really that unique or makes even fucking sense at the end of the day. So it's not memorable.
never matched that Skyrim blueprint until now. Crimson Desert keeps that same Skyrim philosophy but expands it dramatically. Cities are larger, denser, and filled with hundreds of NPCs, each with routines, interactions, and relationships you can build. Every town feels unique, from architecture and culture to activities and even music. And instead of feeling like short stops, they feel like places you return to and spend time in. You return to upgrade gear, stock up on items, and take on more quests. Where many modern games rely on repeated assets, Crimson Desert creates towns that feel truly lived in. It's the same foundation Skyrim built, just pushed to a much larger, more immersive scale. Hernan feels bright and castle-like. Demonis City is
Oh, and this is also another thing, by the way. The Elder Scrolls 6 will be made on the Creation Engine 3. And Starfield was Creation Engine 2.5, by the way, if you're wondering, which doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think Bethesda's lying about something there because the timeline doesn't add up really well. But in any case, Starfield's 2.5 Creation Engine was garbage. It could not literally support more than, like, I don't know, 10 NPCs at the screen in the same time. It could not support, and the average location that the Creation Engine could support in an open world setting was like 1/5 of the average town size, what you get in Crimson Desert. So when the Creation Engine 3.0 drops, which is not going to be a massive improvement over 2.5, they're not going to be able to match the scale. There is no world where they're going to be able to match the scale.
vast and sprawling. Payloon is secluded and scenic with a peaceful mountain backdrop, and Delicia stands out with its more advanced technology. Besides this, the game also adds smaller towns like Porowin Village, which gives the vibe of a fairy tale aesthetic. Scholarstone boasts a massive temple with active classrooms. Where Skyrim often repeated assets for the smaller town locations, with many featuring the same wooden homes, Crimson Desert makes every town and
You know what was one of my greatest disappointments in Skyrim? There was this city, and I say city lightly here because it's literally 3 houses. I don't remember what it was called, but it had a Jarl who was a woman. Just thought I'd point that out. I think it was a woman, right? There was like a vampire cave close to it, and the main thing about the city was that a house burned down there, and it got arsoned or something like that. And that city was literally 3 fucking houses. 3? No, actually, I guess it was 4 or 5, but you get the point. It didn't feel a Jarl for what? 3 fucking houses? Yeah. It was horrible. That was one of the things that like this, and this was like 10 years ago. I was so disappointed in going into that place and being like, "Oh, this is supposed to be like a medium-sized village because it literally even has a yodel. Like, there's nothing here. I mean, I'm sorry, where are all the houses? There's like 3 of them. What is this?"
city feel unique. Starfield, Skyrim, and Fallout 4 were plagued with loading screens. Somehow, Crimson Desert allows you to enter every building in game, each with different interiors and secrets, all without a single loading screen. Not only does it offer more towns than Skyrim, but each feels unique, larger in scale, and still captures that same cozy, return-worthy atmosphere without a loading screen in sight. It's another level. Another staple of Skyrim was its large number of side quests, with over 200 available to the player. While they were often more basic and straightforward, fetch questy, Skyrim's strength was quantity rather than depth. In contrast, games like The Witcher 3 offer
I think Skyrim's side quests were good enough, honestly. They weren't anything that grand, but then again, it's like it didn't feel like it needs to be grand. You know what I'm saying? It did not feel like, oh, every side quest needs to be, yes, I save another dimension from some evil force. No, no, no. It's literally just do this or do that. Help out with this. Help out with that. It felt unintrusive. It felt natural. That's one of the things I liked about Skyrim. That the side quests felt actually like, reasonable.
more complex side quests with memorable characters, strong writing, unique cutscenes, and meaningful choices that affected outcomes. Skyrim's quests were less about deep writing and more about encouraging exploration and introducing the world's lore and locations, a reason to get out there and explore. Crimson Desert expands on this with over 400 side quests, raising both scale and overall quality. Because of its size, quest design varies widely, from simple bounty-style objectives or fetch drop-off quests to more developed storylines with unique characters and dedicated cutscenes. While none of them may fully reach The Witcher 3's narrative depth, the overall quality is still a step up from Skyrim. As you increase your reputation in each area, more quests become available. A lot of quests are hidden, and many feature unique boss battles that are genuinely on the scale of Elden Ring. In summary, Bethesda titles tend to focus on quantity over quality, offering hundreds of side quests of a lower standard. Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Starfield all followed this.
I honestly think Bethesda's approach to gaming never really failed. I think from Skyrim to what they did with Fallout 4 to what they did with Starfield, everything has been the same, but quality has decreased dramatically. Unbelievably so. The quality has just been completely destroyed, in my honest opinion. That's what has destroyed modern day Bethesda. It's just the quality. The writing is trash, everything is trash. I don't mind Skyrim in space. Sounds good, actually. But I mind a bad Skyrim in space, aka what we got with Starfield. That doesn't sound interesting, that sounds sad and bad.
this approach, as their goal was less about the side quest story and more about giving the player a reason to explore the world. The Witcher 3 offered stronger stories, but in a more linear controlled format. So, Crimson Desert has just come in and offered the best of both worlds, showcasing yet another step up. Then there are the simulation aspects. In Skyrim, you could cook, create potions, craft gear, and make weapons. Crimson Desert offers all of these options, but with more variety on top. In Skyrim, you could own houses and build them selecting pre-made layouts. Crimson Desert gives you a home and allows you to place furnishings in specific areas. It then raises it by adding in your own farm to grow crops and a ranch where you can raise and breed animals. In fact, you can build towns, bridges and statues across the world, genuinely changing how the world appears and functions. Skyrim lets you have one active companion. Crimson Desert allows you not just companions, but the ability to bond with any animal, then customize their outfit. In fact, you are given an entire camp to manage, and you can send them on jobs and...
The biggest sin Crimson Desert honestly committed is letting us bond with many animals, but we can't take all the animals with us at the same time. That is sinful.
See them work. Where in Skyrim, you ride only horses, all of which control the same, Crimson Desert allows you to ride horses, bears, deer, dragons, and even mech units, all of which feel unique to one another and allow long-term bonding, which unlocks more abilities. One of the most overlooked but defining aspects of Bethesda games is environmental physics, being able to pick up almost any object in the world. It's a small detail, but it's something fans constantly pointed out as missing in other RPGs, like The Witcher 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance. Crimson Desert brings this back on a much larger scale. Everything a Bethesda title offers, Crimson Desert matches it, improves on it, then adds 10 more bonus features on top. In summary, while many games have matched or surpassed Skyrim in specific areas, like The Witcher 3 with side quests, Kingdom Come Deliverance with survival systems, Red Dead Redemption 2 with immersion, none have managed to exceed it across the board. Until now. Crimson Desert is the first game to truly capture that same sense of wonder while expanding on nearly every system Skyrim introduced. It doesn't just replicate parts of the formula, it brings them all together, deepens them, and layers even more on top. It's the best of Skyrim mixed with strengths from other top AAA titles, a standard we genuinely thought was impossible until it arrived. And just as Crimson Desert was compared to other greats at launch, when The Elder Scrolls 6 arrives, this will be the game it's measured against. Whereas before, it was only competing with its older version of Skyrim, now it's going to be compared to this. And for Bethesda, this is surely scary times. Starfield launched to immediate comparisons with Cyberpunk, highlighting how far behind it fell in areas like narrative.
Now, to be honest, the people are lying about Starfield also literally said that this city neon right here was better looking than anything Cyberpunk had to offer. Needless to say, that was such an obvious lie, even the blind could see it.
Depth, technology, and overall design. Fallout 76 launched poorly and slowed momentum for the series, but no matter how
poorly is an understatement, but okay.
How many disappointments they released, Bethesda always had one trump card. The Elder Scrolls. No matter how many times they upset fans or veered from their formula, they knew their fanbase would still be waiting to give that game a chance. Nothing could replace that or
I think that fanbase is long gone. Now granted, are there people interested in the Elder Scrolls? Yes, massively. But the fan base of Bethesda in general is gone. I have been covering Bethesda for a while before the catastrophe of Starfield, and what I'm seeing in people's comments, the likes to dislike ratios on videos talking about the failures of Bethesda, before Starfield, it was harder to criticize Bethesda because there was always someone defending them no matter what. And nowadays, defending Starfield probably gets more dislikes than being negative towards Starfield because no one is supportive of it. Starfield and Bethesda have tremendously failed and destroyed their reputation.
Steal the fan base entirely. There were Scrolls-like alternatives, but not exact replacements. While Bethesda experimented on MMOs and new IPs, They watched as other studios like CD Projekt
Jesus.
Red, Larian, and Warhorse surpassed their work in certain parts, but remained assured they would never be directly replaced. Those studios excelled in some areas, but never outright made the Elder Scrolls a redundant franchise. Crimson Desert is the first game to genuinely put that position under pressure. When the Elder Scrolls 6 does release, it will be directly compared, and if they cannot match its quality, which is a very hard thing to do, fans could finally move on for good. They might not need
If Elder Scrolls 6 gets delayed by, I don't know, 10 additional years, maybe they can match it. Because again, their engine will never allow it to be matched in the first place. Bethesda's engine is not capable, and will never probably be capable at this point, to match Crimson Desert. It will always be a poor knockoff.
the Elder Scrolls 6 now because it's already arrived. That said, the Elder Scrolls still offers things Crimson Desert doesn't. It has a rich, established lore that fans deeply connect with, full character creation and role-playing freedom, dedicated first-person combat, and a stronger focus on traditional dungeon design. Crimson Desert touches on some of these elements, but it doesn't replicate them in the same way or to the same depth. As a result, Bethesda can still make the Elder Scrolls a distinct experience that stands out on its own, but the gap is closing fast. Pearl Abyss has already released 4 free updates in just 2 weeks after launch, and they show no signs of slowing down. If they were to add in features like
And there's, by the way, gonna be an update, a free, well, not a free, but DLC. There's gonna be DLC for Crimson Desert. That's already guaranteed.
player creation, first-person combat, and a larger focus on dungeons, that gap could shrink even further. And for every feature Crimson Desert misses from the
And most likely, Crimson Desert's DLC, the first one, is gonna be story-based. It's gonna add new loot, new places, new this, new that. The typical things that we already praise Crimson Desert for. But it most likely will also concentrate heavily on the one criticism Crimson Desert got, which was fair, in the way that the story's kind of shit. It's not really that bad, but it's definitely not impressive. It's definitely not exactly worth it in a lot of ways. So, if Crimson Desert creates a good story with the first DLC, I mean, then the next Elder Scrolls will have absolutely nothing it can actually do.
Skyrim checklist, it adds another 20 features instead. Trust me, this game is offering far more than it's missing, and this is truly the first time a game has finally satisfied long-term Elder Scrolls fans. Whilst Bethesda stopped making the games fans wanted, Pearl Abyss have just stepped in and done it themselves. When you add in the upcoming Witcher 4, Fable, and a rumoured Lord of the Rings entry from Warhorse
Fable. Fable's gonna be garbage. The Witcher 4 is gonna be woke, and what else? I don't know.
Studios, it's getting pretty rocky for Bethesda now. It's like the story, the tortoise and the hare. Bethesda were the hare, racing miles ahead, dominating the open world space for years. They got so far ahead of the competition that they stopped running and they got complacent, chasing different audiences and not innovating. Now, because they've messed around so long, they've just looked up and the tortoise has finally crossed the finish line. That's Pearl Abyss with Crimson Desert. They always assumed no other game could make a Skyrim replacement, but this just might be it. The stakes were high for Bethesda with the Elder Scrolls 6, but they're even higher now. If they can't match the new standards set by Crimson Desert, then
yeah, as time goes on, Elder Scrolls and Bethesda will all lose what made them popular in the first place, and then they won't have the ability even to sell many copies of a thing because no one cares about what they do any longer. Well, any case, that was AVV Gaming 10 out of 10. Bye.